Hi everyone, my name is Callie Davis and I used to be a manager of remote employees for a prominent tech company in Utah. And I am here today to tell you why remote work will work for your company. So first, we are going to watch a video by Matt Mullenweg, who is the CEO of WordPress.com.
I think a distributed workforce is the most effective way to build a company. The key is that you have to approach it consciously. When we started WordPress, many of the first 20 hires were people who I'd never met in person, but we'd already collaborated online, sometimes for years. I wanted to continue that as the company grew for one simple reason. I believe that talent and intelligence are equally distributed throughout the world, but opportunity is not. In Silicon Valley, you have the big tech companies fishing from essentially the same small pond or bay. By making the company distributed, we can fish from the entire ocean. Instead of hiring someone who grew up in Japan but now lives in California, you can gain someone who lives, works, wakes up in the morning, and goes to sleep every night, wherever they are in the world. They bring a different understanding of that culture and a different lived experience day to day. At the base of the decision to go distributed, there's a desire to give people autonomy over how they do their work. Unless you're in a role where specific hours are important, you can make your own schedule. Everyone can have a corner office. They can have their windows. They can have the food they want to eat. You can choose when there's music and when there's silence. You can choose what temperature the room should be. You can choose to save the time you'd spend commuting every day and put that into other things that are more important to you.
Perfect. So Mullenweg discussed and gave a good synopsis of what I'm going to be talking about today. So let's just get right into it. So with remote work, a lot of people think that their company is going to be less productive and they'll just have employees that sit on their bums all day and are lazy. But from my personal experience, that hasn't been the view that I've seen. So like I said, I worked for a remote company in Utah, and I was over roughly 15 or so call center agents at one time, and we were a remote company. So the way that it worked is I was the manager, and every week we'd have a team meeting that we did via Skype or Google Hangouts, things like that. And then all of the employees would reach out to me every day, and I was able to see what they were doing via a company that we used called Cisco, which would let me remotely access their computers and see what they were doing at any given time. And so with that, I was able to notice that it wasn't necessarily that they were less productive. We just wanted to make sure that they all had a good view of the company culture and that they were well supported, because a lot of times people have said that they feel isolated when they're working at home. So I'm going to talk today a little bit about the advantages of why you should give your employees a work at home option, so that it can better suit their individual lives. So first, we're going to talk about flexibility. So what that means is the time that they choose to work and where they choose to work. So when you have a 9-to-5 job, it's usually going to be a job that you travel to every day, and you might travel 20-30 minutes at a time, and then it's something that you're going to sit there for 8 hours straight, maybe taking a lunch. And so with the flexibility of a location, as long as you have internet access, you can do your work from wherever you are. So something that's great about that is employees that might have wanted to take a vacation, they are able to take their work with them if need be. So if there's an emergency that comes up, they're available to handle it. Or if there is a specific deadline that needs to be taken care of and you didn't want them to give that option, then they're able to do it while they're traveling or while they're waiting at the bus stop or waiting for a plane. And so that's one thing that location is great for. The flexibility, of course, with working at home or working distributed. And then the other one is the flexibility of time. So there are many people who want to work full time or who just want to work at all, but they don't have the luxury of being able to go into the office every single day, Monday through Friday. And so with that time flexibility, especially if it's not a job that means you have a set schedule, you just need to get your work done, working away from the office is a great choice because they get to choose when they do their work, when they have the time, and when it's the least amount of stress for them. I was a manager, like I said, over a call center job, and so they didn't have the luxury of choosing when they wanted to work. Of course, they had set schedules they had to follow, but most of our company was remote, and so that meant that we were able to give jobs to many different walks of life, and so they were able to switch shifts and choose when they wanted to work based on what fit them. And because we were a 24-hour call center, that's what worked best for us. So when going into the office, or leaving, you've probably encountered heavy traffic, a wreck on the interstate, something that you were not excited about, right? So the next thing I'm going to talk about is the cost. So the heavy traffic and the commute goes into that time flexibility, but it also has to do with the cost of going to work, the emotional labor as well as the financial labor. So many CEOs usually have the option to not work in an office space. They can go wherever they want, work abroad, but many typical employees don't. And so with a work from home or distributed work option, they are able to skip that commute altogether, work wherever they want to. And so that's going to save them time as well as the emotional and physical exhaustion that comes with commuting 30 minutes to an hour every day. Office space is also something that can be a heavy labor for a company. And so by only having a small office space that you can invite people to work in when they want to, but they're not expected to be there, you're able to cut your overhead and save your company money. So last, we're going to talk about personnel. And I've talked a little bit about this over the course of this discussion, but personnel is one of the biggest things that a company should look out for. So everyone talks about company culture and how important it is, as well as how you get the best candidates for your job. And so by choosing a distributed workforce, like Matt Mellenweg said earlier, you are able to not just pick from the surrounding area that you're in, but also anywhere around the world that you want. Or as in my company's since they were able to pick specific people that worked in the southern region of the United States, in the Midwest, in Hawaii. And so they were able to get all of their work done while still having the culture of that specific person living in that area. Because if somebody, like Mellenweg said, grew up in Japan but then moved to the US, it's not going to have the same impact on the customers they're interacting with because it's not the exact same relationship and culture. And so with personnel as well, you have that bigger hiring pool, but the culture of your company in general is going to be better off because people are not dreading having to physically go to work every day. They have the flexibility to take vacations when they want to, and to take, sick days that they might have just been laying in bed because they have a head cold, but they're still able to be productive because they can work on their computers at their homes. And so with that, you have mothers who wouldn't be able to work usually, or parents who need a second job but need to make sure that they are able to stay home with their kids. You have college students who have classes during the day but are still able to work at night or over the weekends. And so with that, you are going to give your company a bigger and better pool of applicants. So with all of these advantages, that is why work at home will work for your company. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me after. Thank you so much, and you have a great rest of your day.